Good afternoon. Today I will present my proposal on a quasi-experimental study evaluating the effectiveness of the Ascend Faculty Development Program on the emotional intelligence, growth mindset, and self-efficacy of women faculty at the University of Southern Mississippi. For my proposal's sake, Ascend stands for Advancing Self-Efficacy through Cognitive, Emotional, and Professional Development. My study is grounded in social cognitive theory and seeks to determine whether a structured professional development intervention can strengthen these psychological constructs and better prepare women faculty for professional success and leadership within higher education. Women faculty continue to encounter unique professional challenges within higher education, including leadership disparities, increased service responsibilities, and barriers to career advancement. Social cognitive theory provides a theoretical foundation for this study by proposing that individuals develop through the reciprocal interaction of their environment, personal beliefs, and behavior. Essentially, Bandura coined the term reciprocal determinism. So we influence our environment, but we are also influenced by our environment. And that was Bandura in 1997. Within this framework, emotional intelligence and growth mindset are psychological resources that may influence an individual's self-efficacy or confidence in their ability to successfully perform professional tasks. Therefore, my study seeks to examine whether participation in a structured professional development program can strengthen emotional intelligence and growth mindset, which in turn, theoretically, should improve self-efficacy among women faculty. Despite growing evidence supporting the value of these constructs, limited intervention-based research has examined whether professional development programs in emotional intelligence and growth mindset can effectively improve these psychological constructs among women faculty in higher education. My study addresses this gap through a quasi-experimental, non-equivalent, pre-test, post-test control group design. This study will have 4 research questions, and each research question has 2 hypotheses. So research question 1 looks at to what extent does participation in the Ascend Faculty Development Program affect emotional intelligence among women faculty? So your null hypothesis is that there will be no statistically significant difference between participants' pre-test and post-test emotional intelligence scores, whereas hypothesis 1.1 states that participants' post-test emotional intelligence scores will be significantly higher than their pre-test emotional intelligence scores. Research question 2 is similar to research question 1, except we look at the variable growth mindset. So to what extent does participation in the Ascend Faculty Development Program affect growth mindset among women faculty? Your null hypothesis is that there will be no statistically significant difference between participants' pre-test and post-test growth mindset scores. And hypothesis 2.1 states that participants' post-test growth mindset scores will be significantly higher than their pre-test growth mindset scores. Again, right along with research question 1 and 2, research question 3 looks at to what extent that participation in the Ascend Faculty Development Program affects one of the variables, this variable being self-efficacy among women faculty. So your null hypothesis is that there will be no statistically significant difference between participants' pre-test and post-test self-efficacy scores, and hypothesis 3.1 states that participants' post-test self-efficacy scores will be significantly higher than their pre-test self-efficacy scores. Research question 4 is different from the questions 1 through 3. 1 through 3 looked at the change in each of the variables independently post-intervention, whereas research question 4 wants to look at how emotional intelligence and growth mindset collectively change and how that collective change could influence, if at all, any change in self-efficacy. So research question 4 states, to what extent do changes in emotional intelligence and growth mindset collectively influence changes in self-efficacy among women faculty following participation in the Ascend Faculty Development Program? So your null hypothesis is changes in emotional intelligence and growth mindset will not collectively influence changes in self-efficacy among women faculty. So your hypothesis 4.1 would be changes in emotional intelligence and growth mindset will significantly collectively influence changes in self-efficacy among women faculty. This study contributes to several stakeholder groups. Women faculty may benefit through enhanced professional confidence and psychological resources. University leaders can gain evidence supporting future faculty development initiatives, and the study contributes to higher education and human resource development literature by evaluating an evidence-based intervention using a quasi-experimental, non-equivalent pre-test, post-test control group design. As I just mentioned on the last slide, this study is quantitative and it has a quasi-experimental, non-equivalent pretest, post-test control group design. Quasi-experimental just means the researcher does some sort of manipulation to the variables within the study. So for my proposal, I did the Ascend Faculty Development Program. That was our intervention, and it was non-equivalent because the two groups were not equal. Pretest, post-test. So we measured the variables pretest, then we're going to implement the intervention, and then we're going to measure the variables post-test, and then we have a control group or a comparison group that we're going to use to increase our confidence that any observed differences can be attributed to the intervention or the Ascend Faculty Development Program. Since I am a student at the University of Southern Mississippi, this study will use convenient sampling. The target population for the study will consist of women faculty employed at the university. Currently, there are approximately 350 women employed, and participants will complete a pretest, and then immediately following the pretest, they will be assigned via computer randomization to either the treatment or the control group. Random sampling was not possible for this study because the participants will be volunteering, but we will use, like I said, the random assignment. And eligible participants will be recruited through university email communications, and informed consent will be obtained electronically before participants are allowed to access the survey. There are three main variables being measured in this study. Emotional intelligence will be measured using the Brief Emotional Intelligence Scale, or BEIS-10. This was developed by Davies, etc. al. in 2010. It has 10 items, uses a 5-point Likert scale, with 1 being strongly disagree to 5 being strongly agree. Your possible score range is from 10 to 50, and your Cronbach's alpha is 0.80. The growth mindset will be measured using growth mindset scale. This was developed by Sigmundson and Haga in 2024. It is an 8 items 5-point Likert scale, again ranging from 1 being strongly disagree to 5 being strongly agree. And your possible score range is 8 to 40 with your Cronbach alpha of 0.89. Self-efficacy will be measured using the General Self-Efficacy Scale, or GSE. This was developed by Schwarzer and Jerusalem. This was developed in 1995. It is 10 items, and it's a 4-point Likert scale, with 1 being not at all true to 4 being exactly true. The score range is from 10 to 40, with a Cronbach alpha of 0.76 to 0.90. Now, the demographic variables is researcher developed. There will be approximately 8 to 10 items. I'm still working on making sure that I'm still working on finalizing that. They're all multiple choice, and the reliability is face validity. Data collection will occur over approximately 10 to 12 weeks and will include participants' recruitment, pretest data collection, implementation of the Ascend Faculty Development Program, and post-test data collection. Participants will complete the pretest survey through Qualtrics prior to the intervention. Following pretesting, volunteers will be randomly assigned to either the treatment or the comparison group. The treatment group will participate in the 8-week Ascend Faculty Development Program, while the comparison group will continue their professional responsibilities as normal throughout the study period. Upon completion of the program, both groups will complete the post-test survey at the same time using the same instruments administered at pretest. Reminder emails will be distributed throughout the study prior to scheduled survey administration and professional development sessions. Surveys will be designed to take approximately 20 to 25 minutes to complete, hopefully minimizing respondent fatigue. And participants will also receive clear instructions regarding study expectations and anticipated timelines before participation begins. My analysis plan for this study is planned rather than exploratory. So each statistical procedure is going to be directly aligned with one of the specific research questions. Now, first, descriptive statistics is going to summarize participant characteristics and the variable distributions. Essentially, I'm just going to evaluate the quality of my data. And then independent sample t-test and descriptive statistics is going to be used to establish baseline equivalence between the treatment group and the comparison group. For research questions 1 through 3, I'm going to be using mixed analysis of variance, or ANOVA, to examine changes across multiple time measurements, the pretest and post-test, for your multiple groups, your treatment and your comparison group. Research question 4 is going to be analyzed using multiple linear regression to determine whether emotional intelligence and growth mindset collectively influence self-efficacy following participation in the professional development program. Multiple linear regression is appropriate because it's going to predict if 2 or more independent variables collectively influence variation in a dependent variable. Here you will find a list of my references that I used. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you.